Good morning, everybody. We'd like to welcome you to our customer webinar. We're going to get started. We're glad that you're joining us today, and we're excited about this new release of version 10. We've been working on it for a while, and we have so many new great features in here, and so we're excited to show them to you today. As I just mentioned, Everything Help Desk version 10 is now available to download. Go to downloads.grouplink.net if you haven't already. It was released on October 31st, and we're really excited about it. So, first, before we get to version 10, let me tell you about our promotion that we're doing real quick toward the end, till the end of the year. It's the best promotion that we do, and we just like to let you know so you can take advantage of it. With version 10 coming out, there are a lot of you, I'm sure, who are going to reassess your license count and how you're using the help desk. You know, there's tons of other departments besides just IT that can use it, and so we are doing this buy one, get one free promotion for every additional license, full technician license, purchased by December 31st of this year. You'll receive one free. It's, in my opinion, the best promotion that we do all year, and so we'd like to invite everybody to take advantage of it. All right, let me introduce our presenters today. We have a full team here to answer all the questions that you have and present. So let me introduce them real quick. We have Catherine Thomas, who's our Customer Care Manager. We have Amy Kaczynski, who is our Marketing Communications Coordinator. We also have Dan Cabrera from Support here with us, and Jennifer Prescott from the Customer Care Team. And I am Keaton Gerard, also from the Customer Care Team. Not sure if I introduced myself earlier, but there you go. There's our presenters. We have a whole team here today, and here's our agenda. We're going to go through the latest features of the Everything Help Desk version 10. We have a remodeled user interface we're going to show you. Also, we're going to talk about how the location field has been decoupled from the hierarchical flow, and now it's tied to the user. Also, the addition of the ACL, the Access Control List, which we went over in detail in the previous webinar, but we're also going to show it to you today, and also ZenWorks 11 integration. That's our agenda. And I'd like to remind you real quick that one of the reasons that we have these webinars is so that we can try to answer the questions that you have in a live setting like this. So please do not be afraid to ask questions during the presentation at any time. Just go ahead and type them right into the chat box or Q&A box, and we will try to get to as many questions as we can. We love to try to answer your questions, so please don't be afraid to ask questions. All right, without any further ado then, we are going to turn the time right now to Amy Kaczynski, who is going to start presenting for us. Here you go, Amy.
All right, can you hear me okay, Keaton?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And the first thing that we're going to show today is the end user perspective and what the end user will see when they are submitting a ticket. So as you can see, we have a completely remodeled user interface. You'll see that throughout the demonstration today. So if I go ahead and log in as the user, they just click on this button right up here at the top to create a new ticket. So for this example, the user is going to be requesting some time off in the HR department. So you begin by selecting the group, and I'm going to select Human Resources. So the second thing that you will see here is the decoupled location. You might remember that location was the first thing that you selected in previous versions. However, now everything is group-based, and the location is tied to the user. You can have this imported from your LDAP, or you can set it up manually in the help desk so that the location will autofill here for each user. You can also have a location default for a technician or a manager as well. Now the user does have the option by default to change this location. So if Shay is actually moved to the central office, or if he goes between a couple different offices, he always has the option to change that unless you take those rights away within the ACL, which Catherine will go into more detail in a little while. So the second thing after the group that the user must select is the category. and the category option. And then if you have it set up, the assignment will auto-route. Then the last thing that the user has to fill out on the ticket is the subject. So for this example, Shay's requesting a Friday or a vacation day on Friday. So I'm going to go ahead and save changes for this ticket, and then you'll see the ticket has been created. And then Leslie, just as in previous versions, Leslie here will receive an email stating that the ticket has been created. Okay, so if I go ahead and log in as Leslie and update the ticket, let's see, this is the one that was just submitted by Shay, a vacation day needed on Friday. And you'll notice here that just as in previous versions, by default, the technicians and managers have additional fields. This is something that you can turn on and off within the ACL for users, for technicians, managers. It's very flexible. Catherine will get into more details on that later. So let's say that Leslie is approving his time off. We've created a custom status here for approved. So I'm just going to save it as approved and save changes. And then put in any notes that I need and want to be sent to the user. Okay, so Leslie's approving the vacation day, and as long as this checkbox is checked right here, then Shay will receive that email notification. So I'm going to go ahead and save changes, and Shay would get the email saying that his ticket had been updated, and it would have all of these history comments in it right here. Now, if Leslie needed more information from Shay, she could always update the ticket and put a question in her note, and Shay can just respond to the email, and it would be updated in the ticket. This is the same as in previous versions. The other thing that Shay would be able to do, if I log back out and log in as the user, and if I go back to that ticket, I can see here all of my tickets that I've submitted. And I'll see down here in the history comment that the vacation day was approved for Friday the 16th. The other thing that the users by default have the ability to do is to view public knowledge base articles. So if I'm as a user having a problem, and it may be a common problem, I can always search the knowledge base. So let's say my phone has no dial tone. I can come right here to this article, and I can see the problem and the solution right here. So if I unplugged it and plugged it back in and it still doesn't work, I can see right here that I need to contact Cisco. Also, if you're not logged in, you can also search the knowledge base, any public articles. So if I need to reset my username and password, I can do that here. The knowledge base is also a great place to store documents and forms, especially if we're talking the HR department. We could store common forms, and they can be either public, where anyone can view them, or private, so that only people in the HR department can view them. A good example of this is like storing the employee handbook in your knowledge base so that the users have quick access to that. So the last thing that I wanted to show before I hand the time over to Catherine is the Zenworks 11 integration. So if I log in as the manager, so the first thing I wanted to note is that the Zenworks 11 integration works just the same as any previous Zenworks integration that we've had. I just wanted to show it to you real quickly. To tie an asset to a ticket, you just click on the search icon, and then you can search within your Zenworks and tie an asset to a ticket just by clicking the green plus button. And then once you save changes, then the remote control icon will appear here. This works just the same as it has in previous versions. We've just added the ZenWorks 11 integration in addition to ZenWorks 10 and 7. So now I'm going to go ahead and pass the time over to Catherine, and she will talk about the ACL.
Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Amy.
Okay, before I get into the ACL, I just want to go ahead and let you know that we've added a new role. And that role is called the member role. The member role is a group role that can be given to users when you want to restrict access to a function or field to only members of that group. So basically, it gives you the ability to say someone is a member of a group without making them a tech or a manager. For example, we've set up on our support site so that only members of certain groups like Black and Red, Development, Internal Requests can create tickets in those groups. In version 9, any user of the system could create a ticket in any group. In version 10, before adding the member role, the create ticket permission by default was for all users, but you could restrict it to only techs and managers. So we needed to create a way to restrict who could create tickets for a group without making them a tech or a manager. So we've added the role in between the user and tech manager roles. By default, no permissions are given to the member role. The member role is given to users on a per group basis. Members are not allowed to be assigned tickets and do not use a technician license. By giving permission to this role, you're giving users with the member role access to that function or field. So in saying that, I'm going to go ahead and log in as the administrator. And just for your information, the last webinar that we did was based all around the ACL, and it went into a lot more detail than what we're going to go into today. At the end of the webinar, we will post that link, and you can go watch that to get more in-depth information from the ACL. If you notice in here, there's a lot of different things that you can do. Starting out here, managing group settings, and coming all the way down to viewing a note or changing a note. So there are items that you can take away from a user or give to a user, technician, or manager. In order to do this, like we just had a customer that didn't want their technicians to mass delete tickets. They could use the mass editing feature but not deleting. So you would just click on the plus sign, and then you'll see here we have users and we have roles. In version 9, you could only, certain roles did certain functions. And here you can add different roles. Let's say, take away. Let's say we only want managers to delete tickets, or if you want to add technicians to that, you can just click in the blank area and select technician. Or let's say you have a user that you want to have give them the option to go in and delete tickets or to do something specific. You can just give it to that user as well. So all of these options here are things that you can give to users or to roles or take away from them. On the last webinar that we did, we had several questions on this and other things as well. So we kind of thought we would keep this webinar a little bit shorter so that we could answer any questions or issues that you might be having right now with version 10, which is why we also have Dan on the line. He's from our support team. If there's any technical questions, he can go ahead and address those. So I am going to turn this back over to Keaton so that we can start with the question and answer.
Thank you so much, Catherine and Amy, both of you, for presenting those things. All right, so what we're going to do right now is we're going to give you a minute or two to get your questions down and type them into the chat box or Q&A. And so we can start answering all your questions. We want to make sure that we try to get to as many as we can. So I'll wait just a minute or two for you to type in your questions.
Okay, so I'm seeing a question from Nathan. Can the assignment drop-down be suppressed and the default to the ticket pool in version 10? We do not let users enter their tickets for this reason. So if I'm understanding correctly, the answer is yes. So we can have it so that the users cannot view or change assignments, and that's all done right here within the ACL. Also, if you set up the assignments to default to the ticket pool under the Assignments tab, then they will automatically go there. You can also auto-route to a specific technician. But yes, if you don't want the user to be able to change the default, well, they wouldn't be able to change if there's only one option. But if you don't want the user to be able to view or change assignment, you just change it right here within the ACL. And all that you would do is select role and then select it to be either a member, technician, manager, whoever you want to be able to view or change the assignment. Okay, so the next question, do all the tickets go into the knowledge base automatically, or do you have to select that manually again? You do have to select that manually, and let me show you actually how we do that. It's pretty simple. Once you have a closed ticket, let's go into my closed tickets here. It's just this article right here, convert to KB article, and then you will be able to enter the article right here, and then it will go into the knowledge base. So it's pretty simple to do. It works, I believe it works just the same as it did in previous versions for that. Okay, so the next question, we're still on version 9.3. When the upgrade is applied, are any ACLs applied automatically, or will rights remain as they are? So by default, let me show you how it works. By default, in the permission models, you'll have a default permission model here, and every group will be under that permission model. The default permission model will be the same permissions as in previous versions. Also within the ACL, there's global permissions for system configuration and other global items. And those will, by default, be the same as in previous versions. So if you want it to stay the exact same as far as permissions go, you do not need to change anything within the ACL. It should all just automatically upgrade, and everyone will have the same rights as they do in previous versions. Okay, so the next question, can you edit the information that goes out in the initial email that is sent out to the assigned technician? At this point, you cannot. That is a request that we've seen a few times, so make sure that if that's something that you would like, make sure you have a product enhancement request put into our support site. It's on support.grouplink.net. You can submit a ticket there if you have any product enhancement requests. So yeah, I would suggest that you put that in as a ticket there so that we can make sure that we look at that for a future release. Okay, so the next question, how do we set up the location autofill, the location field autofill? Okay, so again, that's in the system admin under user accounts. If you just edit the user, let me edit Kyle here. If you're setting it up manually, it's all right here within the user profile. There's a location drop-down, and this will be all your locations that you have in the help desk. So you just select the one that you want and push save. The other way to do it is to have the user do it. If they click on their name here in the top right-hand corner, they can edit their own information. So you can have them change their location here and then save changes. So if a user is moving from one location to another, it's pretty simple just to ask them to change their information, or you can do it manually as the system admin.
All right. Question here was, what's requested for the backend DB conversion from MS SQL to MySQL? Do we lose any historical data? Actually, this is something that we don't support. It can be done, but again, it's something we don't support. I believe there are third-party software out there that you can research that can do it, but again, it's something that we don't support doing.
All right, thanks, Dan. The next question that I'm seeing, if I update a ticket, can the user then respond within the ticket instead of them sending me an email? Yes, they can, and it's pretty simple to do. So if the user has a ticket, they can add a comment right here, or they can update anything that they have access to change within the ticket. So then when they add a ticket or add a comment, it's just the same as when you add a comment as a technician. You can enter the subject in the note and save changes, and then the technician will get an email that the ticket has been updated. So the next question I'm seeing, if a ticket has not been saved, will it ask you if you want to save it if you close it before you save it? At this time, it does not. If you close the ticket without saving it, unfortunately, it just does not save. It does not have any prompts that ask you if you want to save it. So then there's a question, can it be pulled from LDAP? I believe you're talking about the location and having it autofill. Yes, you can pull it from LDAP and have it autofill based on the location in LDAP. Okay, so the next question, and I apologize for the delay. We're trying to sort through a lot of these questions and answer as many as we can. So the next question, how difficult is it to set up info to come from LDAP from eDirectory? I will have a support person follow up with you on this. We will need to look into it just a little bit, and they'll need to follow up with you on a one-on-one basis. So we'll have someone follow up with you on that. The next question that I'm seeing, does the status change back to open if someone adds comments after it's closed? At this point, I don't believe that it does. I think that it will stay closed if someone adds a comment. However, you can reopen a ticket manually. So if you do see that comment come through, you can go back in and reopen that ticket. The other thing that you can do is use a resolve to close status. So if you set everything as resolved and then have a scheduler that has it auto close after a certain amount of days, then you'll still have that ticket that is open and waiting for a response basically from your user to let you know if that was actually resolved or not. I know a lot of our customers use this. If you want to see more details on that, we can definitely follow up with you after the webinar and show you exactly how that works. Okay, so the next question from Nicholas, has the way mass updates are done changed any? Do you still have to edit the filter and then apply it before the mass update option is available? Yes, this works exactly the same as it did in previous versions. So you will have to create the filter and then select all the ones that you want to mass update and mass update them that way. So the next question, what if there are multiple unknown locations like for traveling teachers? And can we have it, can we just always have our locations appear like in version 9? Yes. So you can, if you would like, you can have the user not have a location tied to it. But what that would look like, I think I have the admin that does not have a location tied to it. So it'll look very similar to in previous versions where the location will just be blank, and then they will be able to select any of these locations. So if you have someone that's moving around a lot, that might be a good idea. But if they do have one default location, you could always just default it to that one and then allow them to change it. But the blank option is always available if you prefer that way. Okay, so the next question, is there a way to organize tickets other than by priority? Yes, absolutely. So I believe you're talking about here on the My Tickets screen. By default, they are sorted by priority here, but you can always click on the headers and sort them any other way that you need to. Okay, so the next question, can duplicate tickets be merged? The way that I suggest that we handle that is to create parent-child tickets. So for example, if the phones are down and you're receiving a ton of tickets about the phones being down, you could make one the parent ticket and make all others child tickets so that you're still documenting everyone that has reported that issue, but you only have the one ticket as the main ticket for that. And then all others would just be underneath of it. Okay, so the next question, when I refresh to see how many tickets I have, the number does not change. I have to close out of the program and log back in. Is there something else I should be doing? I'm actually going to have Dan handle that one for us.
All right. That is going to be a browser issue, actually. I know with Chrome, if you just hit F5 to refresh, it does refresh the counter. In IE, there's actually a setting within IE if you go into Internet Options. I mean, this is something you can look to see if it's set, but in Internet Options, under Browser History, there's Settings. Check for new versions of stored pages. You want that set every time I visit the web page, and that should refresh. But again, that's going to be a browser issue. With Chrome, I use Chrome, and if I just hit F5, the counter does reset. I'm assuming with IE, I don't use it very often, but that setting there should refresh and should reset the counter.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Dan. The next question is a follow-up to organizing the tickets other than by priority. Wendy, if you'd like to expand a little bit and let me know how you're wanting to view the tickets, then I can better answer that question for you. So just go ahead and put that through on the Q&A, and I'll get to that in just a minute. The next question is from Kelly. What is the Actions button on the far right? So we're talking about this icon over here. This was actually put into version 10 to make the iPad work a little bit better. As you know from previous versions, you need to open the ticket, you need to double-click, but that doesn't work on an iPad or a lot of other smart devices. But we've added this edit icon over here on the right. So if you just click on it once, then you can open the ticket instead of having to double-click. So now you can open and view your tickets from the iPad. Okay, so the next question, can you copy a ticket? At this time you cannot. However, if it's a common issue and you'd like to create a quick ticket, that would be what I suggest. That's just done through ticket templates. You can just create a, we call it a quick ticket. It's just a ticket template with only one ticket, and then the user can come right here and launch those ticket templates. And I don't know that I have any quick tickets in my demo site. But then it's already a pre-filled out ticket. And if it's public, a user could launch that, or if it's private, then a technician or manager can launch it. Okay, so to follow up with Wendy's question about organizing by something other than the priority, if you're talking about the color coding that the priority icons have here, those are only for priorities. However, if you want to sort by other, like by type of issue, what I would suggest is that what I can see right now is that you'd only be able to sort by category or category option. But there's no way to color code your categories and category options at this time. Okay, so to avoid duplicate tickets, can users see tickets that have all been entered and have a special status for confidential tickets? At this point, we don't have any way to differentiate a public ticket or private ticket, if that's how you want to say that. But if it's a common issue, or like your phone system is down or something like that, you can always put it up here in the marquee, so that when the user logs in, if they look at this, they will see the common issue and know not to put in a ticket for that. However, if it's something else that you're receiving a lot of tickets on, there is no way. I mean, you can make the user able to see all group tickets, but you cannot differentiate having the user see some tickets but not all. And that's all group-based and done within the ACL. So at the same time, you can have users able to see all tickets in one group but not in another. Okay, so the next question, can you demo the reports a little bit? Let's see, I think I have some reports set up in this system. It looks like I do. So the reporting will all work the same as it did in previous versions. You can always go in and edit a report. You have all the same options here, grouping the report, regrouping, and being able to drill down, public and private reports, show detail. Let's see, you have different report formats. You can also show a graph as a pie or bar chart. And then you also have the recurrence down here. You can set this to run on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. It looks like for this report we have it set up to run the first of every month. You can also set this to run, for example, maybe every 2 weeks on Monday. And just as before, you can email this to anyone inside or outside of your help desk. So if I go back here and here, let me find a good report real quick. Okay, I'm actually going to use this one for my example here. So if I view this report, you'll see here that I have all IT open tickets, and it looks to me like this is by category, and then I can drill down just by clicking on it, and I will see the category options. So I can see what kind of errors we're having within the system. It looks like there's a lot of address book issues, so I can drill down again and see all of those tickets. And just as before, if you click on the ticket number here, if you have permission to, you will be able to view that ticket. You can also click on the Assign to the technician and email the technician directly from this report. Lori, if you'd like any more details on the reports, feel free to put that through on the chat or the Q&A, and I will try and show you more in depth. Okay, so the next question, can you attach an email to a ticket? So there's a couple ways that you can do this. Let me just show you. The first option would be to copy and paste the email into the note of the ticket. The second option would be to save the email as a file and attach it here in the attachments. Okay, so the next question, are you able to add a technician to another, I'm assuming another group, even if you're out of licenses? So the way that it works is the licenses are technician-based. They're not based on the number of groups that the technician is a part of. So if you have one technician that works in 4 different groups, that's only one technician license. So the answer to that would be yes, you are able to add that technician to another group, even if you are out of licenses. And if you need additional licenses, our customer care team is always happy to help you with those. So feel free to give us a call if you need more. Okay, so the next question is a quick review of the dashboards. This kind of goes along with the reporting. And again, bear with me, it's a demo version that I'm using here, and looks like I do have a few dashboards set up, so we'll see how extensive they are. So if I go in and edit the dashboard, you can see the different widgets that I have here. And if I edit a widget, so the dashboards are based on reports. So first you have to, if you're not familiar with it, reports are based on the filters. So you first have to create a filter and then save it, and then you can build a report based on your filters. And then dashboards are based on reports, so you can see kind of how it builds up from there. So the first thing that you do when you create your widgets is you select your report, you give your widget a name, and you select where you want it to be on your dashboard, which row and column you want it to be in, and and how big you want it to be, how many rows and how many columns you want it to span. Then you can also select your type of chart that you're going to see. Okay, so let me go ahead and launch this dashboard, and bear with me. The dashboards do take just a second to launch the first time, and WebEx does slow them down just a little bit, so it'll be just a second for the dashboard to launch. The other thing to note with dashboards is that they are available in real time, so they update every few seconds. So when you have new tickets or changes within your help desk, you can just have the dashboard up and running in the background, and it will automatically update for you. Okay, so here's my dashboard. So you can see here I have all my open tickets by location. Looks like I have quite a few at the central office here. And then I have IT open tickets, it looks like by category in a bar chart form. And then I also have my thermometer. Things like the thermometer, you can set the thresholds. So I have it set that green, which is a reasonable level of tickets, is anywhere from 0 to 5. And then my yellow zone is from 5 to 9. And then red starts at 9. And then gray means that it's critical, which means that it's out of your range. And you can set all these numbers if depending on how many tickets you have in your system and where you want your thresholds to be. And then this thermometer will change colors based on which level it's at. So if there were only 4 tickets, then the whole thermometer would be green. Okay, so I have another question. Is GroupLink still partners with Novell? Will there be any Novell Vibe integration or plugins? GroupLink is still partners with Novell. We do integrate with ZenWorks, as I demonstrated earlier, and we do participate in several of their events. If you're going to BrainShare, which is a Novell event, we will be there, so make sure you stop by and say hi to us there. As far as Novell Vibe integration or plugins, I'm not sure where that is on the roadmap, if that's something that they're looking at or not. Again, I would make sure that if that's something that you are interested in, make sure you put that in as an enhancement request on our support site. Again, that's just support.grouplink.net, and that way we can look at it for future releases.
All right, everybody, it looks like we've answered most of the questions. We're going to give you another minute to type in any questions you may have left so we can make sure we get them all, or if we somehow skipped over yours. I answered a lot of them in the chat, and Amy's, of course, been answering all the ones in the Q&A, so we're pretty sure we've gotten to all of them. If you have any more questions that haven't been answered in the next minute or so, could you please type them in right now?
Okay, so the next question that I'm seeing, if I'm on the My Tickets screen, can I search for a random ticket by ticket number without losing the view of the My Tickets screen? Basically, we're asking if you search up here in the ticket search, like for ticket 78, for example, can you have this open in a new window? I actually just tested this right now by pushing like Control or Control-Alt, some of those that will make it open in a new window, and that doesn't work in this version. So at this point, no, you're not able to open it in a new window. It just opens here in your same window. Okay, so the next question is just a review of the member role. So you'll notice within the ACL, as Catherine mentioned, that there is the member role. By default, there is no one assigned to the member role, so it's just right here within the ACL. You can select a member. You can also assign this role to users within the user accounts. So by default, the member has the same permissions as a user. Now, if we're talking the hierarchy of the user roles, obviously admin is the highest, and then manager is below it, technicians below that, and then member, and then user. So a member is higher than a user. And that's important to remember because when you're in the ACL, if you select a role, it means everything that role and above. So if you select a user, then it will go for a user, member, technician, manager, and admin. Just as if you select a member, then everyone will have access to that besides the user. So again, the member, it's basically like a power user. So let me just give you an example of how I think the member role would work really well. In a school district, for example, if they have, let's say the school has, I don't know, like 25 locations maybe, and 50 or 75 different principals and superintendents that they want to have access to more things than just the user. So rather than going through each one and saying, I want Kyle and Jane and Darren and Jeff and 75 different principals to all have access to 5 different permissions, rather than doing that, I can set up those 75 principals as a member of that group and then go through and give that role to the member, or give that permission to the role of a member. And this will especially be helpful if you're playing around with different permissions that you want your power users to have, especially if you have a lot of locations and if you're going to be changing a lot of the permissions. It's just an easy way to group a set of power users together and give them more permissions than a user would have. Another example of this is if you would like a private group that only certain people can submit tickets in. You can make those people all members of that group and then set the role for create new tickets as member rather than user. And then only members of that group will be able to submit tickets. We have that set up here internally so that only members of certain groups can submit tickets on certain things. For example, only members of the internal requests group here at GroupLink can submit tickets for our internal requests. I hope that helps explain the member role to you. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask us. Okay, so the next question that I'm seeing is from Larry, asking about change management. Larry, we would like to follow up with you after the webinar and get more details about what exactly it is that you're looking for, so that way we can make sure we answer your question completely and accurately. So we'll give you a call after the webinar and follow up with you. Okay, so the next question was about this quick ticket search up here. I believe that question was answered privately, but I just wanted to address it out loud as well. The question was if you can search by anything other than a ticket number up here in the ticket search. In version 9.3, that was enhanced so that it can now be searched by several different items. Like, for example, if you search computer up here, then you can see that there are a lot of computer issues. And all the results will appear right here. So yes, you are able to search on multiple items up in the quick ticket search, and that is with version 9.3 and above. Okay, so the next question, I often have trouble pasting content from the command line interface into the body of the tickets because the formatting gets messed up when I paste this text into the ticket. Is this addressed in version 10, and if not, are there remediation plans in the future? As far as I know, this still works the same as in previous versions. However, we would like to test this, so we're going to do some testing and get back to you on the answer to that question. In addition, if you haven't already, I suggest that you put in a bug ticket for that issue on our support site just so that we can track that and make sure that we are following up on that and getting it addressed. And again, that site is support.grouplink.net. You can use that for any product enhancement or product enhancement requests or bugs that you find in the system. The other thing that I wanted to mention, our support team has actually asked me to mention, since I was talking about the knowledge base earlier, that we do have an internal knowledge base on our support site. And again, as a user, you can search this being logged in or not logged in. You can search the knowledge base. We do have several articles in here. It looks like we have 99 at this time. So we have a lot of articles in here for common issues. So if you're having any problems, definitely check our knowledge base. And if you don't see the answer to it here, you can submit a ticket on support.grouplink.net, or you can give us a call here at GroupLink.
All right, everybody. It's Keaton again. Thank you so much for all of your questions. We got a lot of them answered, actually all of them. We answered every single question, either in the chat, the Q&A. If you sent questions in the Q&A, I just answered a couple more privately. Just make sure you check your Q&A box, and you did get those answered. Pretty sure we got to all of the questions. And thank you so much, Amy, for answering and demonstrating all the new features and answering all the questions. We'd like to also thank Catherine, Thomas, and Dan, and Jennifer for being with us. So thank you, everybody, for participating in our webinar today. We do have archived webinars. We just want to remind you, for instance, the one on October 23rd was the detailed ACL examples. And you can view those at any time by going to grouplink.com/customerwebinars. And so, and also this webinar has been recorded, and we will email you out the link shortly. If you have any more questions or concerns or things that you think of later, please don't hesitate to let us know. You can always give us a call. Our support line is 801-335-0701. And I will just throw these in the chat. Our GroupLink support number is 801-335-0701. And if you have any more questions, you can email those to Catherine, our customer care manager, and I just put her email address in the chat. It's ktomas@grouplink.net. Again, Catherine Thomas is our customer care manager. Okay, that's all we have for you today. We're, again, grateful for your attendance and your participation. We're grateful to be able to answer your questions, and we always love having these webinars. We're very excited about version 10, and we'd like to thank you once again for being with us today. Everybody have a great day.